Hi, and welcome to the first episode of EQVoice, the only channel on YouTube that's both free and overpriced. Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the first episode of EQVoice. I'm Dexar, and joining me today on Uvu is Mac Hammer.
Hey everyone. Before we get too far into the show, a little bit about us. As Dex said, I'm Mac Hammer, broadcasting out of Anchorage, Alaska, and my current main in the game is a magician.
And I'm from Napa, California, and I play a bard. This podcast was created to talk about EverQuest. When I say EverQuest, I mean the original EverQuest, not EQ2, not EQOA, Legends of Norath, or even the much talked about EverQuest Next.
Right. There seems to be plenty of coverage about EverQuest Next right now, and the original EverQuest is being largely ignored. In this podcast, we can focus on the game that started it all from a perspective of two players that were there from almost the beginning.
Before we dig too deep into this week's topic, let's talk a little bit about how you and I got started in EverQuest.
Yeah, works for me.
You know, I'd love to say that I was one of those guys that was there at the beginning, beta, and in 1999, but I wasn't. In late 2000, I went to a software store and was looking for a game, and I cannot remember what the name of the game was, and I haven't known what the name of that game was for years, but it doesn't matter. Looking for it, and I saw EverQuest, which at the time was packaged with Runes of Kunark, and it was actually, I believe, on the day that that Veliest went live or became available in the stores. And so I bought the game and the expansions and took them home. And when I got home, I realized it wasn't the game that I went to get. Thought about bringing it back and didn't. And thought, well, I'll give it a shot. I went to install it, and I realized this is a game that requires an online subscription. And so, again, I had to consider whether I wanted to play this game that I knew nothing about, and I decided to go for it. I got to the server select screen, and I worried that I'd never be able to remember where I created my characters, and so I wanted one I could write down that I would easily remember, and the only one that really struck me as one I could remember, and I think it was one of the recommended servers at the time, was Drynel. So I made my first character a high elf mage on Drynel, and started playing him. I had read on a couple of sites I went to while I was waiting through the install process. I had seen on a couple of sites, I believe it might have been Everlore, which is an old site that's been gone for a long time, and Caster's Realm. I probably just brought a few people way, way back with mentioning those two. But anyway, I'd read about it, and I decided I wanted to play a pet class. Well, I hadn't read quite enough because I really thought that my pet was going to be whoever I chose to go charm. I thought I'd go charm a tiger and make him into a pet. And after I made the mage, I realized that's not what this is. And obviously, I wasn't a big D&D player before this, and so don't be too harsh on me there for not knowing that a mage wouldn't be charming a pet. But anyway, so I started playing my mage, and I started getting some really strange tells. People would say things to me, and I think, what in the world? Why are they saying these things to me? And I realized later, much later, that it was due to the name that I'd chosen, a name that I'd chosen at random. I named my mage Veltar, and some of you might know there's an Ixar monk, I believe, in Dreadlands outside of Karnar's Castle named Veltar. And obviously they thought that I had named the character that way because of him. And anyway, so that was funny. I played the character to level 7, and then I kind of put him on a shelf, and I made my druid. And my druid was my main for a very long time. He was my main until actually 2003. And that's when I discovered the class that would change everything for me. I never looked back. I made my Bard, and I couldn't play anything else after that, not as a main anyway. It was the Bard was it.
Well, Dex and I have known each other since 1981. I've been a gaming geek for forever. I was playing computer games back on an old Commodore 64 when years ago. Anyways, about the time I started playing EverQuest, I had been playing Ultima Online. I was checking that out. It wasn't really doing for me what I wasn't enjoying myself playing the game. I'd heard some people talking about this game called EverQuest, and Dex called me out of the blue. Said, hey, I bought this new game at the store. You got to check it out. It's called EverQuest. Well, I'll give it a shot. Went out, bought the game, and the expansion was out, so I bought the expansion, brought it home, was testing it out. My first character I made was a ranger. I thought I would enjoy playing a ranger. And I enjoyed it up until the time I started getting a message coming across the bottom of the screen saying I was out of food and drink. And I started looking for a place I could buy food and drink and was unable to find a vendor. And this message kept popping up, and I started worrying that my character was going to starve to death, was going to lose hit points, and I was like, the heck with it. I deleted the character, was going to make a new one and find a place to buy food. So I made another character. And I played that one for a little while, couldn't find a place to find food, kept that character, made a different character with a different class. Made a different character with a different class. So I've pretty much played every class in the game. There's certain ones I've liked, certain ones I haven't liked. Right now I like the mage, and that's the one I'm playing.
You know, not long after I got back from the fanfare that was in 2007, and it was before the Secrets of Fëanor launch, I decided to quit playing. And I don't want to go into the reasons why right now, and maybe I will in another podcast. But let's just say that it wasn't because of EverQuest itself. It was because of certain people that were involved in what was going on in the game at the time. And Mac also left about the same time, as did most of our guild. And then in 2011, I read about the progression servers, and I was curious. And I also saw that everyone was granted 45 days of free play time, and there was some kind of outage or something that was earlier in the year that made them do that. Anyway, I convinced Mac to come back for the 45 days with me, and when the 45 days were up, I decided to resubscribe. And unfortunately, Mac did not. And after being back now for 2 years, I finally convinced Mac, by hook or by crook, to resub and give it a shot. And a lot of this podcast will focus on his impressions as a returning player, getting back into the swing of things.
And you'll hear our impressions in future broadcasts, my impressions about what's going on in the new game, what I think is good, some of the good, bad, and the ugly, for the game.
So let's talk about the next expansion coming out. It's the 20th one, Call of the Forsaken. It's coming out in September. Beta, I think, is starting today. It's supposed to. I thought maybe we could discuss what we know about it so far and maybe make a few predictions. We do plan on participating in this beta, so likely this is our last chance before we're bound by the NDA.
And no one likes an NDA. No. And anyways, here's a partial list of some of the expected features, so we can go through some of those. The first one is Merc AA points.
Right. So what's happening is a lot of people are excited about this. Mercenaries are going to get the ability to gain AA points, and the way it's been explained in the forums is when you have your Merc out and you're using it, it earns experience. I guess in the same way that leadership experience worked when you were the leader of a group. Not that I did that much. But your mercenary gains experience and can gain AA points. Starting at level 20, you can start building that up for your Merc. And when your Merc isn't out, it doesn't earn AA points. Anyway, this is going to allow you to make your Mercs stronger. And anyway, a lot of people are excited about that. I know you're just kind of getting back in the swing of things and haven't really messed with Mercs very much. But what do you think about that?
Is it going to yell ding every time it gets a new AA, like the warders when they brought them out?
Oh, God,
you remember when they brought the warders up? What, the first time when they brought the little mini Chihuahua type size warders out?
Oh, yeah,
the game
they kept getting bigger and they'd yell ding. That was
ding.
Cute. Yeah. Yeah, that was.
Anyways,
that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's. I think it's going to be nice to add power. I hope it's not overpowering. I was actually hoping that they would come out with a new level of mercenaries. They've got the apprentice and the journeyman. I thought they would come out with master mercenaries or something like that, whatever they want to call the upper level mercenary, and have a new quest to obtain that. But it doesn't look like they're doing that. I mean, I guess they could be holding that back and not telling us. But basically what it's going to let us do, I guess, and what they've said is when you earn the AAs, it's for that mercenary slot. So if you earn the AAs, for instance, if you earn an AA for a warrior type merc, if you later dismiss that merc and decide that you want a different merc and hire a different one, say you have an apprentice and you finally do the quest and you can do the journeyman mercs, you don't lose those AAs. Those AAs basically apply to all your mercenaries of that type, which is nice. You don't have to re-get those AA points. And it doesn't sound like that it pulls any experience from your experience pool towards that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when leadership AAs came out, and I know you're more familiar with this than me, didn't it pull from the experience that you would earn? Didn't you have to apply some of your experience to that?
I think so, but it's been a while, and I just don't remember.
I don't think the experience was just bonus experience that was added. I might be wrong, and if somebody hears this and wants to shoot out a message and say, you got it all wrong, Dex, that's not how it is, that's fine, let me know. But that's how I remember it, and I know you did a lot of leadership, but that was way back in 2007 and before, so, Yeah,
when we both had hair.
Well, maybe you did. I don't think I did. But anyway, so that's basically mercenary AAs. A lot of people were asking, hey, is there any way that we can earn this while our mercenary's not out? And the answer was no. Mercenary can't earn experience when it's not out there doing something. Anyway.
Yeah, so you can't set up a fellowship with your...
Oh, yeah. I'm power leveling my mercenary. But the other thing is mercenary gear. Your mercenary, much like a pet for a pet class, is going to have certain gear slots to where you can gear them up. However, you're not going to be able to loot raid gear that you can't use and just hand it to your merc. It's going to be special items that are made for the mercs, and I don't know if it's going to be all dropped items, or if mages are going to get the ability to summon merc gear, which is a possibility, I guess, and there might be crafted stuff for mercs. There are some opportunities to give crafting professions a little, the crafting a little bit more to do.
Maybe a merc vendor.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't doubt that they have on the merchants for where you're running these missions and you get the currency. I wouldn't doubt if they would be on there to spend the currency that you earn on merc gear. I would guess that's a strong possibility. But I mean, on that, of course, we're gonna have to wait and see, like anything. But that should be interesting. It doesn't look like it's going to be weapons. It looks like it's going to be like 3 or 4 armor slots. It's what it seems like it's going to be. And be interesting if it was like if they had like a belt slot where you were able to give them a haste belt that's made for the merc or something like that. It's unclear at this point how much power that's going to add. I expect copious nerfs to follow.
That's every expansion they have is, let's give you all this stuff, and then, at least in my experience in the past, is we're going to give you all this stuff, we're going to entice people in, then we're going to nerf the hell out of it.
Well,
that's been my experience in the past.
Not to be too jaded, about it, but it seems to be the trend to let's put this out here and let's not even think about how people can use certain things. I love things like headshot that they put in the game, and then it's almost like, oh my God, we had no idea that Rangers would use that like that. It's, are you kidding me? Let's go back to original EQ. Let's give monks and necros feigned death. We didn't know they'd use that to split mobs. Oh my God, our players are geniuses. Well, maybe not so much that, and maybe a little bit of the reverse with the developers at that time, not thinking things through. But anyway, but these are the people that decided it was a good idea to give clerics complete heal at level 34. So there were mistakes.
It was early on.
It was pretty early on. Yeah, they get a complete heal. Great. Anyway, another thing that they're adding, and this is I don't know how much talking we can do about this, but 2 extra shared bank slots. More inventory space is always good. Making it easy to move things between characters, good thing.
And for me, when I was making new characters, it was always a pain. I'd have to log off, log on, trade 2 or 3 bags in the shared bank slot. So that was
better than what we had to do before that, where we had to put something on the ground, camp out, bring our other character in, and hope like hell that somebody didn't pick it up off the ground while we were gone. Pick some.
I would always find it. I would always find some obscure place under a bridge or something and put it in the water and then log out and log back in, go in the water, grab the bag. Yeah.
And then inevitably your dial-up connection glitches out and you're having a hard time logging back in, and you're thinking, oh my God, the item's going to poof. It's going to go away. Oh man. There are new spells in AAs. That's another thing. No level cap increase. I want to kind of talk about those two things together. So there's no level cap.
Since I'm newly back and don't have a high level character, I don't have a problem with that. It gives me a chance to catch up.
Right. A lot of people feel that way. It's interesting. Somebody put something on the forums, something to the effect of they were doing a quote from some Simpson episode, and they were kind of paraphrasing. It's like, we're doing a level increase. Boo. Okay, we're not doing a level increase. Boo. Okay. Some people level increases, other people small little Norathian flags. Yay. So basically, you're not going to make everybody happy. So basically, new AAs and spells for existing levels. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's all going to be level 96 to 100 spells that are added, unless it's like LDON where they want something specific for doing the missions, even though the missions are 95 plus anyway, so probably not. So we'll see what they do with the AAs and the spells. Probably nothing real.
Your AAs are your level increase stuff. Well,
no, because we already got that with Reign of Fear, because level 100. So all of the, combat agility, combat stability, your stats going up, for the level cap going up, all of those basic things were already put in. So who knows? I would imagine more spells and more AAs are going to kind of be like when, when expansions like POR came out, or when what's the other one? Depths of Dark Hollow, where you didn't get a level increase. The level cap stayed 70 for a little while. Dragons of Norath also a level 70 expansion. Basically, you got almost all of your spells in Omens of War, and then you got a couple that trickled out through the next couple of expansions, but not a lot of stuff. I expect something similar to that.
Just more content.
Right.
Maybe some better gear.
Yeah. They're calling the new LDONs. They're calling them basically heroic adventures, and for level 95 up, and it's balanced around 2 people with each having a merc out. So like you and I could open up a dungeon with our mercs out, and form a group that's balanced around, which is nice. There's of course the big argument of casual versus hardcore, which I actually don't like that expression. I prefer the new way of playing versus the old school way of playing, because I don't think I'm a hardcore player, but what would be classified, I'm certainly not a hardcore raider. But I don't want the game turned into World of Warcraft either. So.
Right, I understand. In my time zone, my problem was raiding when I get off work late at night in Alaska. unable to find a raid, so it was even hard for me to find groups back then. So the mercenaries are kind of nice now.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. It's a great improvement as far as that goes. But on the missions, which I'm assuming are in instant zones like LDONs were, I can't imagine them doing it any other way. When you go into there, it's going to look at your levels, I guess, and it's also going to look at your classes and not have something drop for your group that you can't use. Kind of sucks to do some great big mission, have a chest at the end, and it's for a paladin, and you've got no paladin in your group, and you can't bring one in because the mission's locked to who's in there or whatever, and the item rots. So it looks like that's not going to happen, and everybody's going to get currency like an LDON that they can use at the vendors to buy stuff. So I think that's cool. I think you and I both liked LDON when it was out. That was our heyday of playing a little bit.
It was great when the group aspects. We had a lot of people that would get on the same time we were on, and I do enjoy the group aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, really, my experience is this. Now that I've gotten up to the level cap, my bard is level 100 now, and I can really see a difference. When I first came back, and I was level 75 when I came back, and that was the level cap when I left in 07, and because it was between Buried Sea and Secrets of Fëanor, and when I came back, it was an uphill climb. The cap was 90 at the time, and I didn't see a lot of people at my level around. Now it's 100, and I'm caught up to 100 and have quite a bit of AA built up, and it's different. You see people in the higher level zones. They need to fix the lower level zones and repopulate those. I have some ideas for how to do that I'll cover on another time, but.
It would be nice especially for returning players like me that are restarting characters.
Yeah.
As we've moved servers, we won't discuss which ones, but I have moved servers, so rather than do a character transfer, I started over brand new.
Right, and I mean, you having a mage on the previous server and playing it extensively. I have absolutely zero problem with power leveling you up and us playing from there, because you've done it before. You know how to play the class, and my argument about power leveling is purely around people that are playing the game for the first time. I think they do themselves a disservice by doing that. I understand not wanting to repeat what you've already done, but if you've never done it, don't skip it. I mean, that's
right. Well, part of it's the journey of getting there. You know, part of it's the journey of getting there and enjoying. You know, but at the same time, if you're not able to find groups and enjoy the group content of it, I mean, and it is kind of hard to solo all the way up to, right. You know,
some classes worse than others as far as that goes. But anyway, on to the next thing. I guess crafting. they have their usual little blurb in the announcements about the expansion that new recipes and to raise your skills and this and that and the other thing and to reach new heights.
Get ready to pull your hair out. I see you've done this before.
Yeah. Well, every time I read that, I always wonder, and I think there are other people that wonder, are they raising the cap on trade skills? Are we going to break that 300 cap that's been in place forever? And they kind of hint. It's like they're hinting at it when they say that raise it to new levels, but that could just mean new items that you couldn't make before. So it's unclear. It'd be interesting to see. I think if they raise the cap, some of these items with the AAs, the mod AAs that you can get for your trade skills, I think it's going to make them. It's just too easy to make some of the higher end stuff. I mean, already you can get a station cache potion so that you get all your mats back when you fail, and that's kind of hamstrung trade skills a bit in itself. There is no level cap increase, and the only thing that I have seen that people are more upset about on the forums is that they're going to do the expansion in the same way that Reign of Fear was done. And I don't expect you to be familiar with this, but having played World of Warcraft, it's going to seem very familiar to you. They release part of the expansion, and then a couple times through the expansion cycle, they will release updates that add more content to the game, so you don't get the whole pie basically in one shot, and they say, okay, you got a year before you get something else. So same basic thing that World of Warcraft and other games have done, to where they stagger the content coming in. Some people are yelling and screaming, saying, I'm paying for it all right now. I want it all right now. I don't want you to do that to me. But I get the feeling that a lot of people that are saying that are the same people that are going to finish the expansion a month after it comes out and complain that they have nothing to do. I think there's a good chance that those are the same people. Maybe not. And
I did that on my honeymoon.
You were all done, and you still had to be married to her, right?
That's right.
Sorry. Yes. Every woman that's watching, just all three of them, just shut the thing off when they heard that. Anyway, what's your feeling on them going to, because you do have experience in both methods, the standard method with EQ and then the staggered releases with WoW and Rift and other games.
I don't have an issue with them staggering the content. I mean, especially if the new content that they're going to be staggering in is higher end dungeons and things like that. Basically, you can build into gear to be able to work the new content. If they stagger like that, that's how some of the other games stagger the stuff in. Basically, it's higher end stuff that when the expansion first came out, if you tried to do, you wouldn't have the gear to be able to handle it.
Well, that is what, as I understand it, that is what they're doing. That's what they do with Reign of Fear. I believe it was. I wasn't at the top when I wasn't max level at the time, so I'm trying to think of what I've heard on it. But it was Tier 1 and Tier 2 released of gear, basically, and then a new edition does Tier 3, and then the final edition, Tier 4. And so, but a lot of people complained that Tier 4 is just came out, and then basically, in a month, we're going to have side grade stuff. Basically it sounds like Tier 4 is going to be the equivalent of Tier 2 of Call of the Forsaken, or maybe Tier 1, who knows. But there's going to be, basically it's going to be a side grade. It's kind of like, not to go back to it too much, but it's kind of like Omens of War came out, and then you had Dragons of Norath, rather, and and you had POR, and you had what's the other one? Dark Hollow. So you had 4 expansions there. 4 expansions where the level cap was 70, and a lot of side grades and everything, a lot of variety. People call it side grades. I call it variety. If true variety exists, if it's just a copy-paste piece of gear to where there's virtually no difference in having the gear, then I'm kind of with them on that. I think that that's kind of a bummer to farm that high-tier gear, and then it's just like, okay, I can do 6 missions and I can get the same thing on the new expansion.
Right. Was the high end stuff? Was that only raid accessible, or?
Yeah, we're talking about we're talking about raid
right
gear,
because this may be something they are, with the new expansion, they're allowing the casual player, the person that isn't able to raid, to be able to get a little gear to be able to go a little farther in the new content too. That may be a way they're balancing it between the raiders and the non-raiders.
Well, they do that to a certain extent. Basically, they will give casuals gear that's equivalent to the low level raid stuff, and that happens, which is a whole other can of worms. But anyway, that's definitely happening. I don't really see tiers of gear for the more casual players so much on this. I don't see that as happening. I see that as more of a true side grade, what you're going to see. I'm really hoping that the missions that they put in this are going to allow you to get augments that you can't get in other ways. And I'm not talking about a power thing. I'm talking about a variety thing. I want effects and things like that on my gear. I want to be able to have clickies that I add with an augment. And, questionable whether they can even do some of that stuff that I would want them to do. But I want variety. I would love to be able to get a piece of gear that has, I'm a nut for illusions for my bard. I would love to get have gear open up that has nice illusions on it that you can't get any other way. I mean, we are. Let's not forget this is based in West Carana, so there needs to be. I think there really needs to be some kind of an illusion that kind of fits with West Carana. I'm gonna guess that they're gonna have some kind of Bixie illusion thing, because they've announced that they're going to be new Bixies. I guess a new Bixie model is going to be introduced, and so I'm assuming they're going to have some kind of illusion item for that. Hopefully not just in bottle station cash. Hopefully something you can get in game. Well, this is the place in future shows where we'll read your comments and suggestions. If we get something wrong, or should I say when we get something wrong, let us know. We really want to hear about it, and we'll make corrections when needed.
Also, if you have something EQ related that you want to share and would like to be a guest, we want to hear that too. Just leave a comment below, email us, or send us a tweet.
But listen, it is our first time, so please be gentle.
Well, that just about does it for this week's show. And don't forget to join us next time when we take a closer look at Zygody's mesmerizing memories.
Vuitton.
Vuitton.
Has anyone seen my corpse?